high body count, and I don't dress like I have a high body count. And I don't wear my hair like I have a high body count.
Do you think my hair looks cheap?
It looks a little pornish.
Do you really mean it? You think my hair looks
It
stunning?
looks like high body count hair.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 5, Episode 12. And before we get into it, first things first, I now understand why Angie got first chair at this reunion. If you don't know, they already filmed the reunion on Thursday, and it was Angie and Lisa, first chair right next to Andy. And before, I was like, okay, I mean, I like Angie. She's definitely most improved. She's definitely clocked in, but I don't know if she needed to get first chair, maybe second chair. But honey, after this episode, I said, oh, okay, I see why Miss Angie got first seat right next to the boss. Because high body count hair, high body count dress. I said, girl, what?
You know what? This is too much.
And Miss Bronwyn, I have to tap you on the wrist because Miss Mamas, I'm noticing a few things about you, and I'm like, because low-key, you're the reason why Angie and Brittany got into it in the first place, which led to Brittany crying and Angie being thrown out. Again, I like you and all, sis, but I have a little bit of, you know, a slight side eye because that was shady of you. But without further ado, let's just get right on into it because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So we open up this episode with it being the day of Meredith's bat mitzvah, and we see Meredith at the venue. She's getting things in order. She's going over the prayers and the blessings out the Torah, and she's going over it with her rabbi. So we cut to her confessional, and she says that she's been prepping for this day, making sure that she knows everything because she's not trying to screw this up. Now we see Meredith go outside to take family pictures. Her mom's there, her sister's there, and her oldest son, Reed, is there. Now, I saw a lot of you guys saying that you had no idea that Meredith had 3 kids, but I could have sworn that she told us that she had 3 kids in the first season. She had said explicitly that her oldest son wants no parts of the show, does not want to be filmed, and that's why we don't see him. We only see Chloe and Brooks because they love the cameras. And her oldest son is very handsome. I mean, they're a good-looking family. Everybody looks good. So we see Heather and her daughter Georgia arrive, and Heather says that growing up in Denver, there was a huge Jewish community, so she went to a lot of bar mitzvahs growing up, and she loved them. So now she's telling her daughter that it was at a bar mitzvah where she had her first alcoholic beverage. She says, oh girl, I knew it was wrong, but it was so good. And y'all know, being from New York, going to a lot of bar mitzvahs myself, the spreads, the open bars, because I would sneak too and get a little, a little sip of something. We were all doing it, okay? But yes, bar mitzvahs, that food, the liquor, chef's kiss. So now we see Bronwyn and Todd arrive, and I'm not going to hold you. Is it just me? But do they love an outdoor event? Because mind you, this is the cocktail hour before the reception and the ceremony. So they're outside. And I'm like, this has to be a heated outdoor space because Bronwyn came in with no coat. And I'm like, aren't you guys in the dead of winter in Utah? I know it's freezing. Because Lisa also showed up with no coat on. She came on with this sexy black dress. I was like, you're not cold? Now Whitney and Justin arrive, and Bronwyn immediately tenses up because of what took place in the last episode during camp day. And now we cut to Whitney's confessional, and she says that she was having a great time getting to know Bronwyn, but now she's frustrated because the way Bronwyn twisted up her words about Heather, she's really pissed about that. Then she says that she's big on intentions, and right now, she can't trust Bronwyn's intentions. Now, Bronwyn, here's where you're going wrong. You need to learn when to keep your mouth shut. I knew you made a mistake when you opened up your mouth trying to gossip and have a cute key with Lisa and Meredith when you guys were on your way to camp day. I said, girl, please be quiet because I'm telling you right now, this is not going to go in your favor. And look what happened. Things went left. So we see Brittany arrive, and I forgot all about the other friend of the show, Mazel. I said, girl, you're still here? Are they even paying you? it's giving that they're also giving Maylee the day rate and a free gas card too, because the way she's forgettable. So Brittany and Whitney are talking about their nails, and Brittany gets gems on her nails. So we see Bronwyn trying to peek, and then she turns to Lisa and she's like, do you do that with your nails? And Lisa says, no, I don't ever do that. It's a little bit bridge and tunnel in my opinion. And we all know that bridge and tunnel is a slick way to say that it's lowbrow, it's tacky, it's gauche, and it's unsophisticated. And Miss Lisa Barlow, the jokes write themselves, because Miss Girl, the same woman who's the fast food queen, you were sitting up there a few episodes ago talking about you don't like the food in Italy because it's too fresh. I said, girl, what? I've been to Italy. Italy has some of the best food. I love Italian food anyway. I was in heaven. That food is chef's kiss. Also, Lisa, I've seen how you hold your fork and knife when you eat, and it's not the correct way. And not knowing the proper dining etiquette, that's bridge and tunnel. Class and sophistication is more than just having designer clothes and a nice house and a nice car. It's the whole package, and that includes etiquette, having a sophisticated palate. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, if we want to talk about bridge and tunnel, let's really talk about it. Angie and Sean arrive, and I'm not going to hold you guys. I was shocked to see them. Meredith and Angie are always at each other's throats. So the fact that Meredith actually extended an invitation to her sworn enemy, I said, oh, okay. Well, that's nice. And Angie, I love you down, but let's call a spade a spade. Angie is not going to miss the opening of an envelope, okay? Angie's here to get her scenes. She wants that camera time. So there was no way that she'd miss this. So Angie says in her confessional that she was surprised to get the invitation, but she's happy and she hopes that this is a way to move forward. And I said, now, again, Angie, that's nice and all, but you also came because you wanted to be seen. And remember, Angie and Bronwyn have beef now because they got into it at camp day in the last episode. So Bronwyn's annoyed to see Angie, and now we cut to her confessional, and she says that she's on the outs with both Whitney and Angie because she did not appreciate how Whitney called her a liar, and then for Angie to keep telling her to shut the F up, she wasn't here for that. So she goes on to say that until Angie gives her an apology, she has nothing for Angie. So now a few of the ladies start asking about Mary, and Brittany's like, is she gonna come? And now we see a flashback from a week earlier when Angie was over at Mary's house, and Angie's asking Mary where she stands right now with Meredith and if she plans on attending the bat mitzvah. So Mary says, no comment, and I don't know, we'll see, but I do have to say that I'm dealing with a lot right now in my family, and my family needs me. So Angie says, well, I don't want to pry, but is everything okay? And Mary starts crying. And Angie says, Mary, I'm sorry to hear this, but I want to let you know that when you want to talk, I'm here for you and I love you. And it was nice to see Angie really show support and let Mary know that despite what's going on, I have your back, I love you, and I'm your friend. Because we all know Mary does not have that many friends. She's very closed off. She's sort of a recluse, so for her to have somebody who really cares about her outside of her son, that means a lot. So we flip right back to the party, and we see Angie whisper to Whitney that Bronwyn low-key snubbed her. And I said, now Angie, I love you, but let's not be dense. You cursed that woman out, told her to shut the F up about 20 times last week. Did you honestly think that Bronwyn would be excited to see you? Let's be so for real. And now we cut over to Brittany talking to Bronwyn and Maylee, and Brittany says that she's still mad at Angie because Angie called her a slut. She's like, she said that I was doing 10 guys. And I said, no, Brittany, that's not true. Angie said you're doing 3 guys. Also, Brittany, nobody's judging you for dating or having fun with these guys. We're judging you for being desperate over a man who does not want you. That's what we're judging you for. At least that's what I'm judging you for. But I could care less about what you do in the bedroom or who you're doing. Like, girl, I don't care. Have fun. You're single. I'm here for all of it. Angie's point was, don't try to act like this goody two-shoes when you're not. You're drinking on camera. You're drinking champagne, vodka, tequila, margaritas, whatever. And now you want to bitch and moan about me bringing wine to your house? Now, Brittany, like I told Bronwyn earlier, about knowing when to keep your mouth shut, you should have stayed quiet because this comment bit you in the ass later on because Bronwyn was messy as hell and threw you under the bus. So Brittany says, well, I think that she's accusing me of being slutty because that's what she does with Sean. And I said, that doesn't make any sense because Angie and Sean have been married for, 25 years? I think that Sean is the only man that Angie's been with because they got together when they were both 19, 20. And I don't think that Angie was dating a whole lot of guys when she was in high school. I understand your feelings are hurt, but let's let the reads make sense. So now Bronwyn jumps in to bash Angie too, and she says, yeah, I've noticed that about Angie, especially in group settings. She likes to pick at somebody and then big them up. So she brings up how Angie's had a bunch of thirsty moments throughout her time in the group, when they were at Lisa's Bezos party, when Angie brought the scroll, then in Milwaukee when Angie kicked the chair, and then at the camping activity telling Bronwyn to shut the F up multiple times. And then Bronwyn goes on to add that she knows for a fact that Angie will be doing the most again tonight because that's just her vibe. Now, while I like Angie a lot, I will say Angie does do the most in arguments. It either lands or it falls flat. And sometimes I just want Angie to just argue without all the extra antics. But I have to admit that while it is thirsty, it is funny. And Bronwyn, let me just say, this is why I'll be whacking you later on in this recap. Because for you to be sitting up here with Brittany, chopping it up, dogging out Angie and how thirsty Angie is, and now we're going to see you later on do a complete 180 and then flip on Brittany, I said, girl, no ma'am. But now we see Meredith and her family on a sleigh ride. That's the grand entrance. And now it's time for the ceremony. So now the ceremony starts and they're about a half hour into things. So as Meredith is up there saying the blessing, saying the prayer, we see Mary arrive and we cut to Mary's confessional and she says that despite all the things going on with Robert Jr., she wanted to show up for her friend. And I said, good for Mary. That was really sweet of her to show up because I honestly felt like Mary was not coming, especially with how they left things off in the last 2 episodes. But we see Mary trying to find the door to get in, and production is shady as hell because y'all know good and well you guys could have told Mary, here's the door, that's how you enter into the venue. Y'all let Mary walk all the way around. We see Mary looking through the window. They all see Mary looking in, and they're like, oh my gosh, is that Mary outside? So you have Brittany saying, oh my gosh, she's so late. That's so embarrassing. I said, Brittany, be quiet. Be happy that you're even there. But that was really funny though, because Mary was having a time. So Mary finally finds the right door. She enters into the venue, sits down, and at this point, Meredith is all choked up. So now it's time for the reception, and we see Mary walk over to Meredith. So Mary says, Meredith, you did a great job. I'm so proud of you. Meredith is touched. And now Mary says, but we do need to talk. So she says, I've never had a friend walk out my house like that, and that really hurt my feelings. And I really appreciated how Meredith was receptive to what Mary was saying. So she says, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. And now Mary apologizes for making Meredith feel unwelcome because that was not her intention. And remember, Mary did not kick Meredith out. She told Angie and Meredith to stop yelling in her house. And she went on to say, if you guys can't listen, then you guys can both leave. So Mary says, look, Meredith, let's move forward and learn from this because I do love you. You're one of my closest friends and we've been through a lot. So they hug, Mary's crying, and now we cut to Mary's confessional, and she says that she's going through so much right now in her personal life that this whole thing feels really silly. And there's something to be said about going through really hard times because it puts a lot of stuff in perspective, and you see how petty and trivial and just stupid a lot of stuff is. A lot of things are not worth your attention, they're not worth your anger or your energy. One thing about SLC, you can always count on there being several different fights and makeups at the same time, especially at somebody else's party, event, anniversary, dinner. There's always something going on. So now we see Angie and Bronwyn, And Angie says, Bronwyn, can we talk for a minute? And Bronwyn is very reluctant. She's like, I mean, let's keep it cute because this is somebody's bat mitzvah, so let's be respectful. So Angie's trying to ease her way into this hard conversation, and she says, well, my first step is I always like to start off with a compliment, so I do want to tell you that I love your outfit, I love the sparkles, you look great. So Bronwyn's not here for the flattery. She says, okay, so it's step 2, an apology. And Angie's a bit surprised because she feels like Bronwyn is the one who owes her an apology. So Bronwyn's like, wait, let me get this straight. How do you feel like I owe you an apology? Are you serious right now? So Angie says, well, I feel like you twisted up my words. And Bronwyn says, well, did I twist up how you told me to shut the F up 7,000 times? Now, let me just stop right here. Because Angie, you're not being honest about what went down when you, Whitney, and Bronwyn went on that hike. Just because you and Lisa are cool now, don't sit up here and try to rewrite history like you were not bad-mouthing Lisa. You said in front of Bronwyn and Whitney before the Palm Springs trip that Lisa is vindictive and she tries to get you back. Don't sit up here and act like Bronwyn is lying on you. Stand 10 toes down in it. So Bronwyn says, I'm not going to hold you, Angie, but let's be very clear about something. Until I get that apology from you, you and I have nothing more to discuss. I said, I know that's right, because I'm the same way. You can't sit up there and just call me out my name or talk to me crazy. I'm going to need to hear that apology up front. And one thing about Angie, when she's pressed to apologize after she's shown her ass, she'll do it because she says, okay, Bronwyn, would it make you feel better if I said, I'm sorry for telling you to shut the F up? So Bronwyn's not here for it. She says, you know what, Angie, I don't want to hear this. I'm done. So she starts to walk away, and Angie says, girl, don't walk away, like, stay right here. And now we cut to Angie's confessional, and she says, if you ask for an apology and you get it, you better be able to receive it. So Angie's like, Bronwyn, just stay here. Let's have a conversation one-on-one, woman to woman. It looks real cheap for you to walk away. So Bronwyn's like, you're calling me cheap? Are you serious? And Angie says, now, you know good and damn well I didn't call you cheap. I just said that it's cheap to walk away. Stay here and let's have a conversation. Let's hash it out. Walking away like that is the easy way out. That's what I meant. So now Angie says, Bronwyn, you put me in a bad position. You could have made things worse between me, Lisa, Whitney, and Heather. And Bronwyn says, girl, no, I did not. So they're going back and forth about that. And now Angie mentions how Bronwyn inserted herself in Brittany's relationship. And I said, now hold on, Angie, because everybody in this group has given their 2 cents about Brittany and this situationship that's going nowhere. If I'm not mistaken, didn't you tell Brittany in Milwaukee about how Jared was trying to get into your hairstylist DMs? I mean, girl, you guys have all told Brittany in so many ways that that man does not want her. So it's not just Bronwyn. And now Bronwyn throws it right back at Angie and she says, oh, please, you're the one saying that she's effing 10 guys at once. And Angie says, no, I did not. I never said 10 guys. I said it was 3. So Bronwyn's sarcastic and she says, oh, so is 3 better? So now Angie gets mad and she says, you think you're so funny with your jabs, but you're actually just mean and you're crass. So she brings up that read that Bronwyn threw out to Lisa when they were in Palm Springs when she said, you expect me to ride your dick like it's my job? And she's like, oh, who says that? That's such crass language and you want to get mad at me for saying shut the F up? And I said, now, Angie, you're reaching because you guys all curse and use a whole bunch of analogies to read each other. So for you to act like you were so appalled by her saying the word dick, I mean, come on. How old are you, 5? You guys have heard and said the word dick before. So enough. But at this point, they're yelling at each other, and I couldn't stop laughing because everybody at the party was listening, and they showed the bartender's face. She was like... So now Todd comes over to break things up because we know that Todd is a very rigid man, and he can't stand for his wife to be going at it with somebody. So he's like, okay, time for a break. Let's stop. Let's go to the bar for a drink. And now he turns to Angie and he's like, Angie, would you like some wine? And Bronwyn is me because I'm so sorry. That's sweet that you want to be a gentleman, but not right now. Especially since me and this woman have gone at it. She's cursing me out like, no. So Bronwyn says, Todd, you want to sit up there and offer a woman who's calling me a liar a drink? Like, no, sir. So now Todd's like, okay, baby, I know. So now they walk over to the bar And I'm so sorry, but this dynamic between Todd and Bronwyn is giving father and daughter. I do not see two equals. I don't see husband and wife. He talks to her like he's chastising her. It couldn't be me. I couldn't do it. I'm too mouthy for that. So Bronwyn's crying, and then Todd says, why don't you just walk away? And Bronwyn's like, I can't win in this group. If I walk away, I'm a liar, I'm this, I'm that. If I stand up and fight for myself, it's the same thing. And it's clear that Todd wants her to quit this show, but I also feel like this might be a little bit too taxing on Bronwyn as well. I don't know if Bronwyn is really ready for this. Like, yes, we've seen Bronwyn read and hold her own, but I feel like the cracks are starting to show between Todd getting on her case about how she carries herself with this group. She's always crying. She really values his approval and validation. Now it seems like a lot of the women are turning on her. She's crying about that. I don't know. It might be that Bronwyn bit off a bit more than she can chew. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. But I wouldn't be surprised if Todd is able to convince her to quit the show after this season, or she might decide to take a break and not come back because of the drama on the show with the ladies and the drama that is causing between her and her husband. I was getting more and more annoyed watching Heather stare at Bronwyn and Todd. I said, you can tell that Heather is getting glee and pleasure from watching their interactions. So now we see Whitney and Heather off to the side and they're talking, and Whitney says, Heather, can we talk about what Miss Bronwyn was saying the other day at camp day? And Heather's all understanding. She says, well, honestly, Whitney, there's nothing to discuss. Miss Bronwyn was running her mouth and we're all good. And now we cut to Heather's confessional, and she says that there aren't any unresolved issues with Whitney because Whitney has been direct with her before and she said this to her face. So they're good. And Heather, I just want to say that you're full of it because you're very sensitive about Whitney talking behind your back. So now we see Lisa walk over to Heather and Whitney, and she's like, so what's happening? So now Whitney explains how she's frustrated with Bronwyn for twisting her words and saying that she said she wanted to take down Heather because she never said that. And Lisa interjects because she doesn't believe Whitney. Whitney snaps and she says, can you let me effing speak? Like, stop interrupting me. So Whitney says Bronwyn is spinning my words and she's lying. So now Lisa's like, no, you're lying. That's not true, Whitney. You make up things that are not true. So Lisa says, well, you know what? Let's settle this then. Let's bring Bronwyn over here. And mind you, while this conversation is going on, Bronwyn is at the other table with Brittany and Mazel. So we see the three of them chopping it up, having fun. And Bronwyn says, who knew that their friendship tables would turn and I'd actually be hanging out with you two? Now, Bronwyn, the way you said that, it almost felt like you look down on Brittany and Mazel for several reasons, with a main point that they're both friends of the show and you're a full-time cast member. Because for you to say, well, who knew that I'd be friends with you two? And it was the tone in which it was said. So Brittany says that she wants this newfound friendship between her and Bronwyn to last for more than a hot minute. And then she adds that she's happy that they're finally friends. And I said, Miss Brittany, you spoke too soon because the way Bronwyn did you in, I said, girl. You celebrated a bit too prematurely. And remember, at the other table, they were saying, well, let's call Bronwyn over and settle this. They do just that. Because you have Heather walking over to Bronwyn saying you've been summoned to the other table. I said, girl, who are you? So anyhow, Bronwyn walks over, and you can tell by her body language that she knows that it's about to go down. And mind you, Angie's at the table too. So Whitney turns to Angie and she says, now Angie, did I ever say anything bad about Heather? And Angie says, we did talk, but Bronwyn sat up there and twisted up our words. So now Brittany jumps in, and I said, now Brittany, if I were you, I would have kept quiet for several reasons. But there was no reason for you to jump into this fight. And she says, Angie, I feel like you say things to be dramatic. So Angie's offended and she says, really, Brittany? I've been nice to you. And Brittany's like, no, you haven't. You called me a slut. So Angie says, girl, I did not call you a slut. I haven't used that word since forever. Like, I did not say that. All I said was that you're doing three guys. That's it. That's all. So in the middle of Angie and Brittany going at it, Bronwyn now jumps in. She leans over to Angie and she says, let me be messy for a minute. But she actually called you a slut earlier today. She said that the reason why you called her that is because you must be one yourself. So already Angie is pissed because don't you ever call the Grecian goddess a slut, okay? I said, oh, Angie is about to go off. Now, Miss Bronwyn, here's why I have to whack you because that was shady as hell.
I'm gonna just scoot on over and let you whack him. Get him again. Get him for me.
Because why would you do that? You were sitting up there a few minutes ago talking about how you're cool with Brittany now and you guys are friends or friendly. And now for you to insert yourself in their argument and then out Brittany. And let's not forget, you were sitting up there running your mouth about Angie too. You were saying that Angie does the most all the time because she wants that attention. You left that part out, but you want to sit up there and throw Brittany under the bus about what she said. And if somebody did that to you, you'd be crying. I understand that Brittany is annoying and she talks too much about this whole situationship with Jared Osmond that nobody cares about, but that was wrong. And it just feels like you're one of those people who will throw somebody under the bus because you want to gain brownie points with said group, especially when you feel like you're being iced out. That was a cheap way for you to get back in good with Angie because you guys got into it earlier. And before anybody says, oh, you know, you turn on people fast, it's not about turning on people. I still like Bronwyn, but that was really messed up of her to do that. And I can call that out. And I'm not Britney's biggest fan either, but I can recognize how that was shady. You sat up there saying that, okay, we're friends, we're on a clean slate now, and then you sit there and then throw her under the bus like that less than 5 minutes later. So we cut to Bronwyn's confessional and she says, well, any other time I'd be happy to see Angie getting cursed out, but right now I'm tired of Brittany always running her mouth and playing innocent. And I said, but Bronwyn, you run your mouth too, girl. So, you know, again, I wouldn't do too much. I said, oh, Miss Bronwyn, girl, like, what is going on? You kind of lost me in this episode. Maybe I'm seeing it wrong, but I didn't like that. If you don't like Brittany, then just say that. Say it with your chest, stand 10 toes down in it. But sitting up there, befriending her, and then immediately turning on her 5 minutes later, that's not cool. So Brittany defends herself and says, well, I said that because for you to say that I date like that, all I said was, well, maybe you dated like that when you were with Sean. That's all I meant. So Miss Angie starts reading and she says, I don't look like I have a high body count. I don't dress like I have a high body count. And I don't wear my hair like I have a high body count. So Brittany's insulted. She says, wait, are you saying that my hair looks cheap? So Angie says, well, it does look a bit pornish. I said, not pornish, honey. She said that Brittany was giving a Pornhub or Brazzers tea. I guess demure virginal hair would be like a bob or something. Now, I'm not gonna hold y'all. While Angie had me yelling, I mean, it was funny. This was silly at the same time because y'all are 50, late 40s. Why are you guys going back and forth about being called a slut, high body counts? Who cares? Y'all are good and grown. I'm all for women having full autonomy, doing what they want to do. There's no shame here. So this argument was a bit annoying because I'm like, what are we talking about? But Angie would not stop. She says, that's high body count hair. That's a high body count dress. That's high body count heels. And I look like a mother. Do I look slutty to you? No, I don't. And I said, once again, Angie, your dress was not giving demure or conservative at all. The girls were out. And I love that. Listen, y'all, I love revealing outfits. I love having it all out. Like, listen, okay? I feel like you only live once. You're only young once. If you got it, flaunt it. That's just me, though, okay? Angie looked phenomenal to me. But what we won't do is act like that dress was demure because it was not. I said, Angie, at the end of the day, this whole argument is just so dumb. And Lisa did not make things any better because she says to Angie, oh my gosh, you just shamed her hair. So Brittany walks over to Mazel and Whitney and she says, you won't believe what just happened. Angie slut shamed me, talked about my hair, saying that it's high body count hair. And Whitney's like, wait, what? She said that? And Brittany's like, yeah, I want to leave. I'm just so done right now. And while Brittany's telling Whitney and Mazel what happened, Angie turns around and she's like, oh yeah, and she's wearing a bump it in her hair, and so is Maylee. And Maylee was like, wait, what? I said, oh girl, now Maylee got hit with a stray. So Brittany's still whining to Whitney and Maylee, and she says that she's never been so offended in her entire life. So now we cut over to Angie, and she says, I was not slut shaming, I was hair shaming. I said her hair looks slutty, that's it, not that she is. So I just said, Angie, I'm sorry, Miss Mamas, but stand 10 toes down in it. You said her hair, dress, heels, everything about her was high body count this, high body count that. Like, you were doing more than just hair shaming her. Let's be for real. So Brittany runs off crying, and Chloe and Brooks console her. They're like, oh, that's not nice. You look great. You look beautiful. Dry your tears. Stop crying. So now Brittany comes back into the party, and Meredith pulls her to the side, and she says, what happened? Brittany tells Meredith that she was slut shamed. She tells her how Angie read her down about how her hair is high body count and her heels and her dress, and Meredith is not here for it whatsoever. So as they're talking, Angie walks over, and Angie, you are better off just staying on the other side of the room. Because the way you came for that lady and her hair, and now you want to talk about, oh, well, I actually love your hair, and I was not calling you a slut. I only said that because you said that about me. I said, you could have kept that. Stand 10 toes down in your shade. Because you look very disingenuous now coming over to Brittany after you read her for filth. And nobody bought it either, Angie. It was so fake. So Meredith jumps in and she says, you called her a slut, and honestly, I'm unsure of why you're here anyway. So Angie's like, well, you invited me, and now her and Meredith go back and forth, and Meredith says, you can go. So Angie's like, are you serious right now? And now you have Meredith yelling for security. One thing about it, Meredith lives to kick Angie out of an event. I said, my God. I said, Meredith, I don't know why you invited her anyway when you can't stand her. So as everybody's watching Meredith kick Angie out, we flip over to Lisa talking to Brittany, and she whispers, don't let her hurt your feelings, but I do have to admit that your hair definitely needs Kerastase Thermity.
Bring and go. Don't let her hurt your feelings. But you know what? You do need Kerastase Thermity.
No, we're not playing.
I couldn't stop laughing. I said one thing about it, Miss Lisa is going to always let you know what you can improve on. What product will help you out, make you sexier, prettier, whatever. She's going to tell you just that. Be very clear that Kerastase is about to be her next brand deal. Because after the episode aired, Kerastase put on their IG page that clip of Lisa saying that to Brittany. I said, oh, okay. And you know what's funny? I used to use that brand heavily when I was a teenager. They're a really good brand, and they work really well on black hair too, just so you know. But be clear, that product is about to sell out because Lisa Barlow said that. But we cut right back to Meredith's confessional, and she says that she's tired of Angie's behavior, and Angie likes to cut other women down, and she's had enough. So we see security coming to escort Angie out, and Meredith is still going off about how she cannot stand other women who slut shame and try to just shame women in general, and she can't stand it. So as Angie's being whisked away, she said, Meredith, I gave you a gift, and you came to my anniversary party empty-handed, but okay, girl, I guess. I said, oh, wait. I said, Meredith, now that's in poor taste, and you know it. You showed up to her house empty-handed? Girl, what? And you have the money, Meredith. There's no excuse for that. Now, I was surprised that Angie did not ask for her gift back, because to kick somebody out of your party and then still keep their gift... And it was also funny because Angie was trying to find her phone and her coat. So they gave her somebody else's coat. She says, that's not my coat, that's Brittany's coat. The way she threw that coat on the floor, I said, damn. So Sean comes to his wife's rescue. They're about to leave. And Angie says that she's embarrassed that she's here, and she's mad that Meredith even invited her. Now I said, Angie, you took a big risk coming anyway. Knowing the history between you and Meredith, every time you guys are together, it's always a fight. So I would have passed on this invitation. So before they leave, Lisa and Mary come out to console Angie. Angie's going off. And now Lisa says, I love Angie, but she's somebody who can't see the part that she played in this whole argument. And I said, now Lisa, that's real rich coming from you, seeing how you can't take ownership or admit when you're wrong ever. So not too much. So we end the episode with everybody for the most part leaving, And Lisa says, well, Meredith, I love you, I'm proud of you, and I'll see you in Puerto Vallarta. So now we close things out with Lisa giving us a recap of who hates who in this group, and when they were on better terms, she had planned a trip for them to go to Puerto Vallarta, but now it's about to be a different type of vibe on this trip since everybody's on the outs. And that's where the episode ends. Now, SOC has been in their bag all season, so I already know that this cast trip is about to give us everything we need and then some. And the fact that Lisa is hosting this trip, I already know it's about to go off the rails. So I'm going to be seated. But y'all, this episode had me screaming. I'll be saying high body count, hair, heels, and dress every single chance I get because, like, who thinks of that? But y'all, thank you so much for watching. Thank you all for listening on the podcast. And you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.